Hi guys, Mark Devo. Welcome to A Conscious Time, and welcome to this channel where we discuss things navigating this world through the eyes of awareness, a bird's eye view as it were, dropping judgment, dropping guilt, dropping doubt. These will be the biggest pivotal changes that you can make in your life to awaken to that we have been given everything by God, lacking for nothing, but we are operating, most of us, in the ego or negative attributes that are a thin veil that hiding our true potential. And these videos are meant to uplift and uncover that perfect wholeness that you share with God and abundance that we have been given. We bridge pragmatism or navigating this world, as it were, with bridging with spirituality, so that you can walk away with tangible things and experience these things in life. The most key thing in this world is experience. Once you've experienced that, and no, you cannot take that away. We will corroborate these things with what I'm saying with different quotes, etc., etc. Please like, share, subscribe if you find this does add value. We'll end off on a few quotes, one of them being Course in Miracles. I spend quite a bit of time on A Course in Miracles. It's a curriculum. It's an amazing book/curriculum that will change your perception, guided by the Holy Spirit. And it's beyond words. You have to actually go out there and experience it, but we can unpack some of these concepts here that will add value to your life. That's what it's about. So we're going to discuss in this. Let's jump into this video, and we're going to just discuss things, a powerful insight to change, to help you pivot in this world, to help you change in this world, to take back your creative power, that you are the creative power given a co-creator with God and not subject to this world. That has to be the backdrop of this. Otherwise, if you're subject to the world, this world, you're always going to have a victim mentality. You're not going to be accountable, and you're going to be subject. You are all powerful, given all the powers and abundance and everything, lacking for nothing by God, but you also we don't know everything that we are doing. So that's why I urge you to also be guided by the Holy Spirit. If you're not guided by the Holy Spirit, you're guided by the world, the ego, which is the false illusory thought system, which I always mention in my videos. It's the separate thought system from God. It's a death, demise, scarcity mindset. Oh, woe is me, always trying to bolster itself, and it's separate from God as opposed to thinking with God. All right, so hopefully that sets the tone for what this video is about. And I woke up, what inspired this video as well is I woke up to my kid, 9-year-old kid, saying I didn't just wake up, but as life unraveled, we're talking to my wife, I was talking to my kid, and he walks in and saying, "You're always complaining." So that's great. Now, the first thing that you want to do is you get defensive, right? And I could feel my defenses going up. Before I continue on that statement or that trajectory, I want to ask you, when you're looking out at the world, what is the world telling you? If you look at that tree, what is that tree telling you? Whatever you're looking at, what is the world telling you about yourself? And Carl Jung puts it, I'm sure you all know who Carl Jung is, profound. He's done some amazing work, profound work. Go research him, you'll see what I mean. But his quote, and it's probably quite a famous quote, is, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." So this goes back to, are you the creative power, or are you subject to the world? The world is a mirror and will mirror what you are feeling. Neville Goddard also says you are perfectly, and we've mentioned this before, you are perfectly expressing yourself, either consciously or unconsciously. The power that you have is you are creating all the time, but a lot of us are not aware of that, but we're expressing it consciously, if we are aware, or unconsciously. So whatever the world is giving back to us is actually what we are creating. And I'm going to unpack a few examples out there about that in my own life. And you can think about your own life. And once you've awakened to this and listened to this, gone out there, it will be quite exciting, because if you drop judgment and guilt and doubt, you can now have compassion on yourself and see what the world is reflecting to you. And now you can actually go, well, what have I put out there to reciprocate that? Granted, this might trigger some people because you might be in a very negative space. So you think, well, I've created that. So everything has balance. Relationship, you create, you're giving out and you're reciprocating that, but another relationship is also giving off as well. So it's a two-way street. But you could, while I ask you, what is that tree telling you? What is your dog telling you? What is your kid, in my instance, telling you about yourself? You could look at the tree, for instance, and if you're in a peaceful state, a blowing tree could just be very peaceful and harmonious and give you a feeling of stillness. Or that tree, depending on your level of anxiety or stress or fear, that blowing tree could raise other things. It could be fearful, unsettling, because now it's windy, it's blowing, you've got other things in the backdrop. So that's why I say, what is this world telling you about yourself? That's one small example. Once you understand this, you can start playing around with this. So and that's maybe a limited example, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. So when I go back to my son saying, you're always complaining, what is my son telling me about myself? If I'm subject to the world, then, my son, what does my son know? But if I'm in creative power and I don't drop judgment, well, I can actually look at that and go, the first thing, as I mentioned, my defensiveness slightly went up. And because I feel when I complain, I feel justified in my complaint. So therefore, my justification is actually not complaining. I'm actually complaining, but I'm saying things that are justified. Therefore, I'm defending that because it's justified. And when he says I'm complaining, it takes me so off guard that it starts triggering me. But I thought through awareness, which is the beautiful part, when you drop judgment, drop guilt, drop doubt, I know I'm repeating these things, but you have to repeat these things. And through compassion, I could actually go, okay, fair enough. He doesn't know everything, doesn't have a perfect bird's eye view. But I must have given something off for him to say that. And now I can actually acknowledge, or I can unpack that. I can ask, what am I giving off? Sometimes it might be justified, but a lot of the time, maybe my complaining is not justified. Why am I complaining? Am I angry? Am I defending something? And why am I defending? At the end of the day, you're defensive because you're living in the ego, which you've mentioned, the egoic thought system. Ego is the false separate thought system and always defending. When you know you've been given everything by God, when you know you live in abundance, you don't need to defend anything. This takes time to understand, but once you tap into it, it becomes fascinating and you can start playing around with it. And now you can actually go, when my son or someone else says something to you, you can actually not get defensive. If you need to justify or reciprocate, that's fair enough. Unpack it with that person or where it is, but also be objective to why is that being said. So I hope that is tracking. I've got another example where I've mentioned this before in one of my videos. I worked for a toxic company before I took over. I'm just going to summarize this in a nutshell. I took over a very toxic environment, pressurizing, and I brought that over to a new career or a new job that I was doing at the time. And I was wondering why, it was in my emails, in my personas, or in the habits, the negative habits that I brought across. And I brought that to the new work. And I actually brought it in through my speech, not as much as my speech, but also in my emails. They, if I look back, or if you read back at them, they were actually quite aggressive. And I was wondering, why am I getting aggressive emails back? And it's also how I perceive it, because now I'm in a fearful state, so I'm also perceiving it fearfully. So you see, even the email is reflecting something to you. But I was putting out there, and I was reciprocating what I'd put out there. I'd put out negativity. I was reciprocating, and it actually became so much that I actually had to, it put me into a very stressful, anxious state. And I remember Neville Goddard saying, you're perfectly expressing yourself, either consciously or unconsciously. And also he mentioned in one of his stories how he changed his mindset on a particular person. When you change your mindset of a particular person, your energy is shifting towards that person as well. And you're seeing the best in that person. So it's a whole package of how you see the world, how you reciprocate the world, and how you can now change the negative per se energy in the email that I was putting out, to being aware that I was putting that out, to start changing the language I'm putting out, seeing the boss or the owner, whoever I was emailing that to, in a better light, and changing that whole energy structure. And it was chalk and cheese how it reciprocated into a positive light and went into a different trajectory. So that's one example. The other example is, depending on what state of mind you're in, is the fly that's buzzing past you. It's a silly example, but it's so profound and so true. Is that fly, and they are actually very irritating, I'm not going to lie, but is that fly irritating you, or is that fly, just swats it or don't even pay attention to it? I've lived in both worlds. I'm sure you have as well, where you literally want to just actually take out the fly and it's the rest of its family members. But that shows you what is life reflecting to you? What is life reflecting what's going on within you? The person that kicks the dog, is it the dog's fault? He comes home from a stressful day at work and kicks the dog. The dog has done absolutely nothing, but the dog is revealing to that person the state of mind that person's feeling, and he thinks it's the dog getting in his way, whatever the case may be. I've seen this in family members. I've got irritated with my dog at times, and I've seen the two different worlds of when I'm totally peaceful and the dog's a beautiful, my pet, or I've been in very anxious mode and he comes past me and it just is irritating me. So these are small examples of what is the world reflecting about you. And you can unpack this ongoing and it becomes fascinating. So I do hope this is making a lot of sense. I'm sure it is. It's a beautiful concept. It takes back your power, and you can now apply this to everything in your life that you are now wanting to create, wanting to manifest. When you are grounded, peaceful, the peace of God, when you know you live in abundance, when you know you have been given everything, when you have no fear, when you have no guilt, when you have no doubt, now think of what the world is going to reciprocate to you, because now it's the law of attraction that we've mentioned again. This takes practice, takes awareness, takes a knowing, but go out there and experience and you will see. And please do give me your thoughts and feelings. So let's just end off here. I'm going to end off on a quote on one of them is from Jesus, John 8:12, I'm the light of the world. So, when you realize you are the light of the world, the goodness of the world, now think about what the world is going to reciprocate. And then ending off on a Course in Miracles, and this goes hand in hand with what I've just said about Jesus as well, and how you manifest. Your picture of the world can only mirror what is within. The source of neither light nor darkness can be found without. Grievances darken your mind, and you look out on a darkened world. Forgiveness lifts the darkness, reasserts your will, and lets you look upon a world of light. So that goes hand in hand with what Carl Jung was saying, somewhat what Jesus was saying there in terms of I am the light of the world. And it's just about realizing everything is within you, as we've mentioned before. Once you change that, understand it, take back the creative power, now think what you can create. So, I hope that's a pretty profound quote by A Course in Miracles. It's taken from the workbook. It's I'll put actually the full link there, which is to the full chapter, which is amazing. So please give me your thoughts, sharings. Remember, you have been given everything. You are the creative power. Know this. Drop the fear, the doubt, the guilt, and you'll see the results, because you are the cause, and therefore you'll see the effect. So I hope this adds value. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll check you on the next one.